Good day. Today we are going to discuss about the initial concepts and initial things on project management, whereas this is relevant to the diploma course done for National Design Center, Sri Lanka. This is the project management, the initial topics. I'll try to get through the whole thing in 15-minute clips. So we'll start here right now. Now basically we are going to talk about few major topics. First one is the introduction, the project life cycle, project management process, project integration management, project scope management, time management, cost management, and quality management. These are the things that we are going to talk about with this lecture series. Okay, now first and foremost we have to understand what production is. When you think about production, there are two kinds of production or rather manufacturing. Number one is the process production, or we call it as the continuous production, which means a similar item, a same item being produced over and over again, say out of a mold, just like a pen. A kind of a pen is being produced in millions of numbers, or a shirt or a trouser. One particular item is being produced over and over again as a continuous process. So that is what we call the process production. In that sense, there are several companies which say electronic items, apparel product or rather garment factories, or maybe some furniture factories. Likewise, what they do is they do a continuous production of a same particular item. That is what we call the continuous production or process production. The second kind is the project production. That means it's once again a production which is being done for a unique kind of a product, which means this product will not get repeated once again. Say for an example, Victoria Dam in Sri Lanka. So Victoria Dam, the same exact dam won't get repeated in somewhere else. Say Southern Highway. Southern Highway, I mean Central Highway, Northern Highway or any other thing is not exactly the same as the Southern Highway. So the Southern Highway is a project where it is a unique particular one. There may be common features. There may be common things which are getting produced or reproduced in another project, but the overall, the final thing is a unique kind of a product. If you think of Uma water drinking water project, it's a unique one. There would have been similar ones, but this particular project is a unique one. So you call it as a project production. So as you may understand now, production could be divided into two: process production and project production, which may be a physical product is coming out, or maybe a service coming out. That's the bottom line. So what we are interested here is not the process or not the continuous production. We are interested here is the project or specific production. So projects are managed by project management theories and techniques, which is relevant to specific one-time kind of a production, right? So we'll move on. So when we are going to define what a project is, it's in simple terms, a project is a temporary exercise in view of creating a unique product, service, or an event or a result. Why do we call it a temporary exercise? We shouldn't get mixed up with a short-term production. Temporary does not necessarily mean a short term one. It could be maybe spanning for 10, 20 years, but it's a temporary one. When you start this production, there is a specific ending date. So therefore, we call it a temporary thing. Say for an example, we take an example of another thing, another production, whereas if you are going to make one kind of a ballpoint pen, so millions of pens are being produced, yet there is no end date for this particular production process. Unlike project production, there is a specific ending date that will be agreed upon. I mean, there could be changes afterwards, but still for all, we call it a temporary exercise, which means at the inception itself there is a date of stoppage, there is a ending date. So we call it a temporary exercise. Once again, I'm stressing this fact that it is not a short, it does not mean a short term thing. It does not mean a short term production. It is temporary. So the examples that we can take for projects are construction contractor or construction ventures, whatever the constructions are. I mean, one house is not would not be replicated as another one. I mean, when you think of a housing scheme, you have several units coming up as similar units, but when you take the whole housing project, it is a unique project. One house is not a project. It may be a kind of a process, but yet this particular construction, overall, all the constructions are being called as projects. Interior decorations that we are sort of in. Software development projects. When you have an intention of building up a software app or whatever that you may call it, that start to end, that it's a kind of a project. It's a temporary exercise. It's a unique one. Political projects, political campaigns, election campaigns, event management, a meeting, seminar, a wedding, or whatever. Prototype productions. Prototype means a kind of a sample. You make a sample, you get the approvals, and then you go for different production levels. So making a prototype is a project, right? So as I said earlier, every project is having a specific start and a specific end, or a start date and an end date. So now you can move on, and we have to understand now. We understood what a production is, how to define, how to understand a production, and then we understood how to define a project, or rather a specific production project, right? And we will try to understand who a manager is. A manager, now we are going to talk about project management, and before that we should understand who a manager is. A manager is a person, in very simple terms, manager is a person who is responsible for others' work, which means a person who's having some subordinates, people who are working under him, or rather a person who's having some people who are reporting to him, right? There can't be a manager without any subordinates, right? So a manager is a person who's responsible for his subordinates' work. He's responsible, not that he's doing the work, right? So which means, we'll take an example. We'll call one person as Mr. A is a manager, and B, C and D are the subordinates who are working under A. So A is being given the task by the management, and for his support B, C and D are being appointed. So finally A is responsible for all four officers' work, all four gentlemen's work. So that is the thing. That is who is called a manager, right? Manager is always responsible for his work as well as for others' work. So obviously then you have a manager will have another task where he should or she should supervise his or her subordinates, how these people are performing, because finally he can't put the blame or he can't put the responsibility on any other person, rather than he has to take the responsibility by himself. To take the responsibility and to take the responsibility of somebody else's work, that means you have to assign them, you have to give them the authority, you have to give them the steering, you have to give them the power for them to work, and on the other hand you have to supervise them whether they are doing good, doing well, whether they need any help or anything like that, something like that. So therefore a manager is a person who is responsible for others' work. So in that sense, everybody sort of there, it's a very broad kind of a definition. Even a director, even the managing director is also a manager in that sense. Even a small time supervisor, assistant manager or junior executive, whoever who's having subordinates could be will be falling under the category of manager, a framework of manager, right? So now once again we are going to talk about the manager can divert his authority. A manager is a person who is having some kind of a power. He can change he can give his power to somebody else, yet he has to take care, he has to see that this power being properly used and properly used on the tasks. So that is what is called who is called a manager. A manager will execute functions which are already laid down. Manager is not a person who is creating things. Directors are the people who are creating things, and directors are diverting their things on managers, and managers should be looking for the given, looking to execute towards the executing the instructions given by the directors or whoever the superiors to him, right? So we will stop this particular session now, and we'll meet up with another session. Thank you very much.